Hello, good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, everyone, depending where you are. We are here. We are back with our weekly session or bi-weekly session every Tuesday and Thursday. We are here with Kwame Gonza. So he's our Pan-African analyst, and also he is one of the main people in Connect Africa. He does a lot of things. He's also the operation director of the Connect Africa organization. We have a lot of things we are doing on the ground, which we are excited when it is ready also to introduce to you. But for today, so we picked Nigeria. There is a major event that happened in the past week in Nigeria. It's kind of a major event also in the continent, the inauguration of the president elect of Bola Tinubu, and also the launching of the Dangote Refinery as well, its inauguration. Now, these are very two major things in the continent. So we picked Nigeria. Welcome, Kwame.
Thank you very much, Mahlet. Thank you very much for having me, and greetings to everyone who's watching us out there. We thank you for being part of the channel. We thank you for being part of Connect Africa. As you know, we are about Africa. Everything we do here on Connect Africa is about Africa, and we are about connecting those parts of Africa which need, to work together for the advancement, for the speedy, a progress of our continent. Those are the tasks which we are engaged in on the ground, aside our analysis, which we are carrying out here every week, every other week. Just to correct you a little bit, Mahlet, they are not small events. They are not just small events which happened in Nigeria. The refinery, as we are going to talk about it, the Dangote Oil Refinery, which was launched, is a major project. So it's a major event which happened in Africa. And also the inauguration, of course, the president, President Tinubu, Bola Tinubu Ahmed of Nigeria, who was inaugurated after the term of President Buhari had expired. Nigeria, of course, we all know, is the biggest economy on the African continent with more than $500 billion. And next to it is South Africa. South Africa was the biggest economy, up to a certain level, but Nigeria came and overtook it. And we also know that Nigeria is the most populous, country on the African continent. So any event which happens in Nigeria is important for the Africans, and it is important that we pay close attention to what happens in Nigeria. Just like I think it was President Mandela, Nelson Mandela, who said that the day Nigeria wakes up and puts its act together, then the rest of Africa will be able to to catch up, and it will be able, Africa also will be able to wake up and do the right thing. The day Nigeria gets it and does the right thing, then the rest of Africa will be able to follow. And that is why actually also Nigeria is called the giant of Africa, the African giant. Yes. So I want to thank you very much, Mahlet, with those comments. And if you are in Nigeria, try and subscribe to the channel. Share the channel because we are about Africa. We are not about a single country on the African continent. We are for the whole Africa because we are African. We are Pan-Africanists, and we are pushing for the advancement and progress of Africa, the unification of Africa, because we believe that the unification of Africa is what will bring about the speedy progress that we desire, or even what our ancestors, envisioned. So with that being said, thank you very much, Mahlet.
And thank you very much, Kwame, for that, and also for the correction. I really apologize. It's indeed a major event given Nigeria's contribution economically, politically, in every direction in the continent. Let's start with the president-elect of Bola Tinubu. Give us some background. Who is Bola Tinubu? what is, I mean, we are all about Pan-Africanism. I really, beside his kind of biography as well, if you can tell us his contribution, his view towards Pan-Africanism, if he did mention anything related to that in his speech, that will be really interesting for us. Yeah, so who is the president-elect of Nigeria?
Thank you, Mahlet. You will allow me just to play a few two videos regarding to the events, of course, which we are going to talk about today. And that is the inauguration of President Bola Tinubu Ahmed, and of course the inauguration of the oil refinery, which was inaugurated even before President Tinubu came to power.
How is it the party says that the first executive proclamation of Bola Tinubu, a day that's seen more panic buying of fuel? So the second full day in power for Nigeria's new president, Bola Tinubu, a day that's seen more panic buying of fuel and more criticism of his move to scrap the subsidy on petroleum products without putting palliatives in place. The Labour Party has called it untimely and an anti-people policy, expressing deep shock at seeing Nigerians wake up to dramatic price rises. How is it the party says that the first executive proclamation of the new president was aimed at inflicting pain on the Nigerian people? There has been an attempt at clarity, with the new government issuing a statement saying the removal of subsidies would take effect at the end of June and suggesting that it had already been removed by the previous government. But according to Labour, that's just medicine after death, because the deed has been done, chaos has been unleashed, and people in long queues are stressed out and unable to get fuel as the ripple effects continue.
He comes in the midst of a lot of problems, but yeah, please go on.
Let me just do one more, and then we'll just wrap it all together, and then we will take it from there.
Lekki area of the state, President Muhammad Buhari will inaugurate the refinery, which is arguably Africa's biggest oil refinery and the world's biggest single train facility. The president and other dignitaries are already at the event, as you can see in this live feed. The plant covers a land area of approximately 2,635 hectares, with the capacity to process 650,000 barrels per day. The Dangote Group said the refinery will be churning out premium motor spirits, diesel, aviation jet fuel, and dual-purpose kerosene, among other refined products.
Yeah, thank you very much for those who are watching us once again. Those who are patronizing the channel, like we say, the more you support us, the more also we will be energized as Pan-Africanists to continue to push forward the African agenda with your support. It starts with supporting the channel. When we go back to President Bola Tinubu, who was inaugurated as the 16th president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he's a man who has been in politics for a very long time, for approximately more than 24 years. He has been the governor of Lagos for a long time. He has been senator in Lagos, to the extent that even some people, they call him the Lion of Lagos. He's a man with a lot of influence who has been governing Lagos. So he has been at the helm of Nigeria's politics for a very, very long time, ever since he came back to Nigeria in the 1990s, and then he was elected as a governor in 1999 in Lagos. President Tinubu played a very important role also in the formation of the party which elected him, which is the APC, which came at the same time with President Buhari, which that it was a coalition. It was an amalgamation of three of the most powerful opposition parties in the country. So they came together as a coalition to be able to to contest or challenge the existing party of the time, which was PDP. So they came up with their party, and they formed, they amalgamated those three parties, smaller parties, to form the APC party, and that is the party which has, been able to lift him to where he is, and he became a president in this period. His main challenger, of course, majority of us, even across the African continent, even the young people, majority of the young people, I would say, in Nigeria, even across the world. Of course, they yearn for a young blood. They yearn for a younger leader, and
Mhm.
majority of the youth were banking on, of course, President Obi. They used to call him Obi. That so majority of the younger people were banking on him, but unfortunately, Tinubu was able, to come through and take it over. And I think it is simply because of the rural areas. If you look at him, he's a Muslim. And of course, also he had the support of the existing head of state, who
Mhm.
was President Buhari.
Mhm.
And the other thing is that Tinubu is a Muslim. So you can see that the northern part has a lot of votes compared to the southern part of the country. That if the northern part doesn't give you enough votes, then you will be, in a lot of trouble. It will be difficult for you to win. So Tinubu, as you hear his Ahmed, name Ahmed, is a Muslim. So this enabled him to come up on top, because the northern part of the country, which was in support of Buhari, it was behind him, and so he easily was able to win, even to the to the shock of many. Even myself, I was shocked that he was able to win, because Peter Obi was having a lot of support, especially among the young people. He's 71 years. I think this is also one of the reasons why the young people wanted a younger person. And we have seen President Buhari, that he has been a president, but he's very old. He's in his 70s. At the same time, he has been out of the country for a very long time. Even when he had just come to power, he spent a very long time in Britain getting treatment. So these are the things which the African people are really worried about. But when you look at also on the other side of his economics, on the economics policy, some people say he has policies which are people friendly. His thinking, his ideology. When you talk about economic ideology,
Mhm.
uh, they say that he has policies which are people centered in one way. And so we can see he tried to mention this even in his speech which he gave during the inauguration. He spoke about the inclusion of women and youth in his government, settling the issue of electricity, because Nigeria has been having electricity problems, even though, of course, we know that Nigeria is the biggest producer of oil, but because the resources have been mismanaged by the ruling people, the ruling class in the country, and the middle class. Uh, it has left the majority of the people, suffering. So he mentioned that he would be able to improve on the electricity problem. He will allow, what he said, that he will bring credit also to enhance the agricultural sector. This is one of the issues which he mentioned, and he also said that he will continue President Buhari's policy on infrastructure to uplift the infrastructure. But the red flag for me on President Tinubu, of course, was the fact that immediately mentioned that they're going to remove the fuel subsidies, which people like taxi drivers or car drivers, they depend on, the fuel subsidies for them to be able to survive, to do their business. So he removed the subsidies. That means the prices of fuel were immediately increased by 100%. And as we have seen that people in the video which we watched, people were already complaining. They were complaining about the fact that the president increased immediately he came. He increased the price of fuel. The other thing which was already flagged for me and showed me sort of like it is going to be a continuation of the same poor and bad policies of the Buhari government is the fact that he said he is going to allow multinational companies and corporations, the so-called investors, the repatriation of profits from Nigeria. So when you look at these two policies, you can see that the subsidies have been removed for the people who are supposed to be helped, in the country, because Nigeria, we know, we've already mentioned, we know is the biggest producer of oil. So people should be able to get subsidies on oil, from the government, or even reduce reduce the prices much further. We saw this happening in places like Libya, for example, that during the time of President Muammar Gaddafi, Libya was providing the cheapest, the lowest price of oil to its citizens. So I think that Nigeria also should be able to do this, should be in this position. The policies of the Nigerian government, I believe, that should not be dictated by the neoliberal order or the Western world and the World Bank and their, way of thinking, when at the same time their corporations like Shell are stealing, a lot of, oil from the country. As we saw last year, I think it was in October or November, that Shell at a terminal which it is operating, where they are loading the crude oil from, an oil pipeline was discovered at this terminal, which was pumping oil for 9 years, for 9 complete years, without paying for that oil. They were stealing Nigeria's oil for 9 complete years. So this is what Shell was carrying out. This pipeline actually was discovered by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, which is the organization that is responsible for Nigeria's interests in the oil sector. So they are the ones who discovered this pipeline. So you can see that the World Bank and these corporations are already working together to impoverish Africa, as we have seen in the reports like the UN report on illicit financial outflows out of Africa, more than $100 billion. That is what they claim, that they are going out of Africa. And also this has been mentioned by people like they have been mentioned by people like Madame Naledi Pando, during when she held a press conference with the Secretary of State Blinken. So many people have spoken about this. So these corporations are already enjoying themselves on the African continent. They are exploiting. So I don't believe that people like President Bola Tinubu should be in a position where instead of applying more controls on profit outflow, is instead saying that he's going to open up the door so that these companies can repatriate the profits as they want. So this shows you that people are going to suffer more. It will push even the inflation upwards, because every time companies like Shell pull out the dollars from the economy, then the inflation will go up because the dollars will not be in the system, and stuff like that. So these, to me, are my observations when it comes to President Bola Tinubu, the elect. And note that his predecessor, President Buhari, has been doing well. Of course, Buhari has also left a very dysfunctional country. When you look at the security situation, which he promised that he would improve, it is not that the best. When you look at also the economic situation in the country, you are seeing people are even still lining up, to get fuel, at the petrol station. Fuel is not available, even though Nigeria, of course, has 4 oil refineries, in the country, which are state-owned. But all these oil refineries have been crippled by the interests of a few group of people, that these oil refineries, are not able to operate. Hence, of course, Dangote came up with his oil refinery, which we'll definitely talk about in a second. So, from my analysis, I see that we have the Nigerian people have to strap themselves up. They have to tighten their belt because what is coming from the speech that was given, from the inaugural speech was given by President Bola Tinubu Ahmed, it doesn't show a lot of urgency. I don't feel a sense of urgency. I don't know whether it is because he's old, at 71 years. I don't feel a sense of urgency. I don't feel, hope, within the country that he's going to bring something that is going to fundamentally transform the Nigerian economy and the lives of the African people. But other people may have different views, and if you're watching and you have different views, of course you can put your suggestions, your views in the comment section, and then we can take it from there and discuss it from there. Thank you very much, Mahlet.
Thank you very much, Kwame. I was just thinking, so he's 71, and then Nigeria's term in the office for presidents is 2 term it allows, so he will be here until he's 80, for sure, if it's 4 years each. And another thing is, one thing we have to be cautious is that when America is that fast to congratulate president-elects in Africa, then that's something that you have to say, wow, okay, what's going on? So they were one
absolutely,
of the
absolutely. That means it spells doom for us. It spells doom for us.
Yeah. That tells you exactly what's going on. So he's just another old guy in the continent. Well, please, Nigerians and those of you who are really familiar with the Nigerian politics, if you have a different view or even a same view to strengthen or a different view, please, do comment in the comment section, in the chat section.
Yeah, we can even invite them. We can invite someone who has
sure.
a deeper feel of the situation, who has views different from us, especially if you are a Pan-Africanist. I would like to invite you. Then we can have this discussion. We want to discuss the Nigerian situation and the new president in the context of Pan-Africanism. We don't want to discuss just individual states and leave it there. We are not, pseudo Pan-Africanists or petty nationalists. We are Pan-Africanists, and we are more interested in what effect this president is going to have on the African continent. Of course, we have not had any Pan-African sentiments, within his speech, or as a person, his policies there. You cannot hear that it's somebody who feels some way, for Africa. So you can see that most of these politicians, especially to a certain extent, I believe that Nigeria has been really a disappointment. The Nigerian leadership, not the Nigerian people and the country itself, but the Nigerian leadership as a giant of Africa. The leadership has sort of been, a disappointment to the rest of the African continent, not only in the area of the mismanagement of the economy and the resources of the country, but also on the international stage. It doesn't really play, it is punching what you call below its weight, like what PLO Lumumba normally says. Like how you are seeing South Africa right now is playing. Nigeria has played so much in the hands of imperialism that it doesn't even recognize to a certain level its own identity as an African country to be able to protect the interests of the Africans. And this worries me. It worries me as an African. It worries me a lot. And when you look at the type of leaders who are coming up from Nigeria, it is more reason to worry when you look at people like Tinubu, Buhari. You look at Jonathan Goodluck. Jonathan Goodluck is even one of the people who voted for the bombing of Libya, because that time Nigeria and South Africa, Zuma President Zuma, they voted for to allow NATO, to come and bomb Libya. So, it shows there's something missing there. But at least South Africa is turning up, as we are seeing right now, is pushing harder. Nigeria, as the biggest economy on the African continent, should be applying to join the BRICS countries for that matter. But why is it not applying? Because it is in the pockets of the imperialists, the United States and Europe and Britain. And the rich people, the middle class, is working directly. The middle class and the ruling class is working directly with the Western world, with the imperialists. So they have all their wealth. When you look at the wealthiest people, the richest people in Nigeria, majority of them, they have their wealth, in Britain and the United
Yeah.
States. So this is a problem. You see that the ruling class and the imperialists have connived to take the country away from the African people, and this becomes unfortunate. And I wish inside of me that President Tinubu would change that, but I really don't see very much, from his background and his ideology, economic ideology, uh, and his speech. I really don't see that much coming from him, apart from exercising power and having his time as a president and going away. But to change things fundamentally, we will see. But that is not what we are seeing from his background. When we analyze his background and history, that is not what we are seeing currently.
Interesting. Yeah, and I mean, sad as well. Such an unfortunate thing. Yeah, but they did express interest. I think it's one of the countries that expressed interest to join BRICS, but we will see. The upcoming BRICS summit is just around the corner. So, in fact, next week it will start. So we will hear more who is a new addition to BRICS. Let's go to still in Nigeria about the new the launching the just launched refinery of Dangote, Aliko Dangote. Let's talk about how this will impact Nigeria's economy. Given that now, I think from some of the analysis in the news that we have seen, they say that actually Nigeria do not need to import anything because it produces or refines all kinds of products. And then also, does this mean all those looting by the foreign refinery companies will minimize? What is its contribution to that? Yeah, Kwame.
Thank you very much, Mahlet. Yeah, the launching or the inauguration of the oil refinery, the commissioning of the oil refinery by President Buhari, the Dangote oil refinery, to be precise. It came timely. Nigeria, of course, has been suffering, as we are seeing the price of oil, even though it has been, of course, subsidized, but at the same time, there has not been oil for a very long time. Oil has been an issue. Oil products have been an issue: petroleum, diesel, and all the other oil products, refined oil products that you find in most cases. The Nigerians are at oil pumps lining up just to fill up, their cars and their motorcycles. As we have said, is the most populous nation on the African continent. Is the most populous African nation. So they consume a lot of fuel, which has been estimated to cost around $24 billion every year of oil products. This is how far, and that is around 450, thousand, barrels of oil per day. So when you look at what the oil refinery, which was inaugurated, which was commissioned, is going to produce, is going to produce up to around 650,000 barrels of oil per day. So this is enough. That is why they say that it is big enough to take care of Nigeria's oil needs. So it is going to produce enough oil products which will cover Nigeria's needs, and then you will have an extra 200,000 barrels of oil which you can, per day, which you can export to other African countries. So it's a major project, which we welcome as Africans. The project is worth around 19 billion dollars. Just to put that in context, before this day when it was inaugurated, the estimate was around 12 billion dollars. The whole refinery complex, as they said, it has a part which is going to refine oil and then produce fertilizer on one side, and also included on the oil refinery is also a power plant which was built to provide energy. Dangote built his own, source of power so that it will not suffer because of Nigeria's power problems. So he built a power plant on it, which is around 400 megawatts. It's a huge one. So it will be able to power the refinery and even the community around. The oil refinery is located in Lekki, in Lagos, Lekki Free Zone, in Lagos, and is sitting on 6,500 acres. So it's a huge space where this oil refinery is sitting. It's going to produce more than 100,000 jobs. So when they're talking about single train refinery, it is the biggest in the world. Currently, it is the biggest oil refinery across the African continent, but across the world is the biggest single train oil refinery. It's going to provide around 100,000 jobs, the direct and indirect jobs. And like we said, is to produce 650,000 barrels of oil. When you look at the size of the refinery itself and what it is worth, if you are talking about $19 billion, it is the biggest project that has been put on the African continent by any country, by any institution, by any donor, by anywhere. There's nowhere on the African continent where anyone has ever put up a single big project like this one of $19 billion. So when you are looking at the African continent, it is the biggest, it is the single biggest investment that has ever been planted on the African continent. No other single project can match it on the African continent. It has been done by Dangote. So when you look at its worth, it is bigger than 33 economies on the African continent. The GDPs, when you look at the various economies on the African continent, you can look at small, for example, small countries like Togo, which have GDPs of maybe $5 billion, others $9 billion, Burundis, and all those countries. The oil refinery is bigger than as an economy itself. The economy of this oil refinery is bigger than 13 economies on the African continent, 13 countries. So that is how bigger than, 33 actually, not 13, but 33 countries on the African continent. So actually majority of them, it is bigger than them on the African continent. So it's a big project, and this is a project we are really proud of. We are proud of Aliko Dangote and what he has achieved on behalf, of course, the African continent, because the balance of the oil products that is going to be refined, which is more than 200,000 barrels per day, is going to be shipped to the rest of the African continent, to the other parts like Ghana. We saw that the Ghanaian president was there. The Senegalese president was there during the inauguration. The Niger president also was there during the inauguration. The Chad president, the president of Chad also was there. President Kagame also was invited, but he sent a message. His message was virtually, broadcast. So it was video broadcast. Yeah, so it is a big project for the African continent. Let's also not forget that Dangote is still the single biggest investor on the African continent, the single biggest individual investor on the African continent. Whether in the West or anywhere in the world, there's no single person who invests in the African continent like Dangote, does. We know that he has projects in I think places like Zambia, Tanzania, various, in Ghana. He was trying to enter, I think, in Tanzania also, and in Kenya. I think he has also projects in Kenya. So he has a lot of work which he's doing. Even in Ivory Coast, I believe, I think he's trying to enter inside Ivory Coast, but I don't know whether the French will allow him to, to do the job there. So we want to congratulate, President, President, of course, the president of Dangote Group of Companies, Mr. Aliko Dangote, for the work he's doing for the African continent. And we applaud such a project. It's an incredible and wonderful project for the African continent.
Indeed, he has also a cement factory in Ethiopia, so he's all over, and I mean, to the very least, at least the countries can benefit out of the employment of the local people. Very interesting. I think for us that was it. It's a kind of shorter, a brief session for today. Since it was a major event, we wanted really to bring our opinion based on our research of what happened in Nigeria. So please, Kwame, unless you have any closing remarks for me, please, subscribe, be a family. And also you can support us through our PayPal account and a super chat, and then also sharing this video to others, to your network, family, whoever you think will be interested. It's information, it's knowledge. So everybody needs to get to be like, we have to empower each other through information and knowledge. Other than that, Kwame, I will invite you
Yeah,
for.
I also just want to thank everyone who's watching. I just want to reiterate what Mahlet has said. What Mahlet has said is very, very important, is extremely important. Support the channel. That is the only way we will also be encouraged to continue fighting and moving forward. Like we said, we are working with different organizations like the PLO Lumumba Foundations and numerous other organizations, in pushing the African agenda forward. And some of the things, of course, we cannot say them here. But if you want to participate directly in that process, reach out to us. But you start with supporting us on the YouTube channel here. And then when you come, we can discuss whatever we are doing. Support the channel, share the channel, like what you are seeing. There's numerous videos which we have produced. We have produced a lot of materials, in the past month. We are, here every Tuesday and every Thursday. So come out there, support us. We have produced tremendous and incredible material which is affecting, or things which are affecting the African continent. So watch this, and that is the only way you can support us, and share it with others. It is a matter of information. Actually, it helps us also in how we are engaged in the struggle, that when we are pushing forward, then we understand the people we are pushing for, or we are working with, they understand what we are pushing on the global stage and also on the continental stage of the African continent. So we want to thank you. Support the channel like we said, and like Mahlet said, contribute whatever you can, $1, $2, one naira, whatever you can, 500, anything, Ghana cedis, whatever you can, contribute to the cause so that we can move forward, because this is the time for us as Africans also to assert ourselves on the global stage. It will not only be the leaders, but we have to support the leaders in that direction, and that is what we are doing exactly as Connect Africa. Thank you very much, Mahlet, and thank you everyone who's watching, and thank you for supporting Connect Africa.
Thank you very much, Kwame, and thank you for our viewers who are here. We will be back again on Tuesday with Kwame, and that's it for us. Thank you, and have a good evening. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye. Yeah.